So basically, you got into comic collecting when you were a kid for fun.
Yeah, loved it.
Do you remember your very first comic book that you got?
Oh yeah, yeah. My brother collected Fantastic Four. I collected Spider-Man. So the first one I bought off the newsstand happened to be issue number 40, Spider-Man.
Okay, so that's where Peter Parker's standing over the Green Goblin after he beat him up.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. That's a key issue. John Romita art.
Yep.
That was the first one. Now was that
Second.
second what?
John Romita Art.
Oh, second. Yeah, but it was John Romita. Did they?
Senior.
Yeah. I don't. Is he still alive?
I don't know. I think
I know his brother or his son still does it.
There was no Johnny Romita Jr. at that time.
Yeah. You bought that off the newsstand?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then from there, you just went and hunted bargain bins, and anytime you get some money and stuff like that?
Back where we lived, at that time, it's not anything like it is today. If you happen to live in a large city and you knew of a comic book shop through word of mouth from people in your school, okay, you had access. But where I lived, in a small city called Pacifica, which is now it's a suburb of San Francisco, but back in the day it wasn't. There were no comic book shops, and so you only had your bike to pedal, if you had a bike, and so there was nothing around where we lived. So it was just, I would ask kids whenever I saw them, "Do you have any comic books?" So you're classified as a nerd immediately at school. But I got, a nice small collection that way.
Okay. And now when you obviously collected as a kid, what happened to those books? Did you carry them over into adulthood, or did they get thrown out when you went off to college or anything like that?
No, I got into wheeling and dealing probably when I was sophomore in high school, freshman or sophomore.
So you would
14, 15.
So you take some comics and try to trade up and things like that with those
Yeah, and
kids?
also sell through different mail order avenues. They had, I'm trying to think of that paper they had that came out once a month.
So you would sell comics through the paper
I started selling mail order,
in high school.
Yeah, early in high school.
Okay. I didn't know that. So you did that. I'm assuming then you went off and did your own thing you had a construction company, right?
Yeah, I got into high jumping and track and field and decathlon and all that, and that took up a.
Interesting enough, I looked this up. By the way, he was an amazing high jumper. What'd you jump? 7 foot?
In high school or after?
Your peak. What was your highest?
I quit at the ripe old age of 20, and my highest was 7.5.
7.5. Monte Vista High School. I looked this up like a week ago, randomly. You, at your high school, are the only record that still stands that hasn't been broken.
From way back in the day.
From way back in the 70s or something like that?
Yeah.
For high jump. Only record that still stands that hasn't been broken.
Hard to believe I high jumped, but I did.
Yeah. So then you had a construction business, and then and I'm assuming you continued to buy comics, because I heard through one of my uncles that they remember going over to your house and just seeing a room full of comic books. But this is when you still were in construction. You weren't full-time dealer.
Most people today, they invest because they see the profit, the profitability. And so they're looking to find a place to put their money, because money markets, which are kind of flat, and then mutual funds give you X amount of dollars per year. But comic books today, it's interesting. You can invest $1,000, and if you invest right, it can be worth $2,000 in a month, or 6 months, or 3 months. So the advantages are tremendous. But back then, the Overstreet Price Guide would come out once a year, and it was wonderful to look through it and see, hey, my comic went up 5% or 6% or something. We were okay with that. But I collected for investment because I saw there was some kind of a future in it. And I wasn't sure what that future was, but I always loved comic books, so I just started buying what I liked.